Hello everyone, welcome in today's video. We're going to talk about Chasca. She just released today and I finished building her. I finished testing a lot of her teams, etc. And I think she's a pretty good character overall. She deals pretty good damage, similar to I think she's a bit better of course, but similar to like Wonder or Shao in terms of like uh strength on average. Like if you compare it to like Neuvillette, Arlecchino, Navia, she's a decently like worse than those characters, but overall she's a great character. She deals pretty good damage. She's pretty straightforward to build, and she can work with so many different characters, which is very nice. Um, so we're gonna go over her kit. We're gonna go over her weapon, her teams, her build, and after that, I'll show you like a little showcase of like different teams that I tested and how she performs. Remember that in this on this account, my Farina is C3, so she gives a decent amount of boost to Chasca in any of the showcases. But she's still like the best option as a support for Chasca, and yeah, we'll go over this in a bit. So first, in terms of kit, what does Chasca do? She is a DPS. She's a DPS, but she's not an Anemo DPS because her damage is not going to be Anemo. Basically, the way she works is that in your team with Chasca, you want to have other characters with different elements, preferably 3 different elements. So in this case, for example, I have Pyro, Electro, and Hydro. And then what's going to happen is that when you use her skill, when you press E and you go in the flying state like that, and then you use your charge attack, you see the bullets will infuse in Electro, Pyro, and Hydro, right? And when she hits the enemy, the bullets will deal those damage. So she's not going to deal too much Anemo damage. She's mostly going to deal damage according to the elements in your team, alright? As you can see, the numbers are mostly non-Anemo damage. And also, the scaling of her attack with... the scaling of her attack that is Anemo is much lower compared to the scaling of the attack that is infused with elements. So this is the scaling 266 at level 8 of the shell that is infused with the element of the character in the team. And this is the scaling of the Anemo bullet. So it's much lower and she's not going to deal too much Anemo damage, which will really impact like the way you build her later on. Once that explained, her burst is basically just a bunch of extra damage as well with some extra shots of elements with the same elements as your team. So same thing, it's a little bit of extra damage. You basically will use your burst at the end of a normal rotation almost every time. And I'm not going to go over in details of every talent to not make it too complicated because as you can see, there's a lot of text. It's a little bit complicated. But basically, the way you need to understand is that at C0, you want 3 different elements, preferably. And then a few teams can work with very specific buffers like Shilonen that can bypass, that can like balance out the buff from her passive with the different elements, even though you don't have as many elements because Shilonen buff is very insane. But basically, you want 3 different elements, so you can combine 3 different elements from Pyro, Electro, Hydro, and Cryo, and then you can make any combinations with that. But you want 3 different elements, and after that, that's pretty much it. Once you get Constellation C1, C2, you can lower the elements you use in your team. Mainly when you get the C2. You can run only like 2 different elements and you will get the full buff. But at C0, you basically want 3 different elements, which will still give her like a lot of team options. Also, one thing important to know with Chasca is that her skill can let you dodge like a lot of attacks from a lot of different enemies. For example, as you can tell here, the Masonry is way below me. He literally cannot hit me. Of course, some enemies have attacks that can like go up and are pretty large AoE. But in a lot of cases, it will help you dodge like a lot of attacks. You can also take a lot of distance, and her range is huge. There's a really big range, which makes it like... She has really big range, which makes it like super easy to like take distance and not get hit, so she's not too vulnerable. She can be interrupted during her attack, so you gotta be careful against like big bosses. For example, the Tulpa in the Spiral Abyss can take you down even if you're flying, so you got to be careful. That's where you can take some distance. But otherwise, yeah, her skill is pretty nice to like and pretty easy to maneuver. Similar to like Nervi basically, but even higher. So a lot less enemies can hit you. In terms of gameplay for Chasca, my recommendations in terms of rotation is going to be to, as usual, start with your support, set up all your buffs. So here, boom, I use my Farina, I use my Bennett. I can use Auron. You don't need to use Auron necessarily because he applies Electro off field. And then here you just hold your charge attack, not without leaving the button, okay? You keep holding, and at the end, you use your Chasca burst to deal maximum damage. If you do the rotation properly, your Bennett burst should last until the end of Chasca's DPS. So if you basically the idea is to wait as long as possible until using Bennett burst. Like here, I use Bennett burst. I go on Chasca and then I start holding my charge attack. The enemy literally cannot hit me, as you can see. Boom, and then I ult at the end. And then you get maximum DPS like that. And then you repeat your rotation until the enemies are dead, basically. You get your burst back. Farina. You get Bennett again. And then let's go. We're doing 74k. Pretty good, pretty good. My weapon is only level 80 yet at the moment, so it's not even that high. And that's basically it for the rotation, honestly. In terms of weapons, this is her best in slot, of course, her signature weapon. After that, if you have Line weapon or Aqua Simulacra, they're both very, very good as well and pretty similar in terms of value. Also, they give a lot of crit damage, so this is pretty nice. And then after that, all the other weapons are going to be like okay. Like Thundering Pulse that I don't have is pretty decent. Skyward Harp is pretty good, gives good crit value as well, and high base attack. Amos Bow can be decent, but it's not insane. And then Battle Pass weapon, the new one, is pretty good. And otherwise, 4-star wise, the best F2P option, pure F2P craftable weapon is going to be Song of Stillness that you can craft, is the craftable from Fontaine. If you get R5, that's 32% damage bonus, which is pretty insane. And there's also this one that you can get from pulling, unfortunately, on the current weapon banner at R1, which gives you 36% damage bonus on charge attacks. At R5, it can go up to 72%, which is pretty good, but you need to get R5 from pulling on the weapon, which is not necessarily recommended. Now, in terms of artifacts, her best artifact set is going to be Obsidian Codex at the #1 spot. But after that, you got a few other options. You can go Cinder City set if you don't use anyone else in the team that will use that set. But if you bring Shilonen or Auroron, you will want those characters to be on the set. You can use 4 Viridescent because, as you could see, she deals a little bit of Anemo damage, but most of her damage is going to come from the other elements. So if you can swirl those elements, it will decrease the resistance and will improve your DPS quite a bit. It's not as good as Obsidian, but it's still pretty good. And finally, you could also use Maréchaussée, which is it gives 15% charge attack damage bonus, which is pretty decent for her kit, and it also gives crit rate, which is very similar to Obsidian. So it's a little bit worse than Obsidian, but it's basically it's very similar. Especially if you play with Farina. You have to play with Farina to use that set. The last option will be Shimenawa, which basically lasts exactly the duration of her skill. So it's pretty nice. Most of your damage will be boosted by the buff from Shimenawa. So it's also a decent option if you don't want to farm the new set because you're not pulling too many Nalan characters. Or if you don't have anything else, Shimenawa is also pretty good. In terms of stats, what you will want in terms of stats on your Chasca is going to be attack sense most of the time. Circlet, probably crit damage if you're running Obsidian. Note that Chasca ascends with crit rate. It ascends with crit rate, so you will gain an extra 19 crit rate on top of the Obsidian set that gives you 40%. So she basically starts at 64% crit rate without doing anything. If you get a few crit rate substat, or yeah, if you just get a few crit rate substat, you will basically have a lot of crit rate. I have 86 right now, and I barely have any. So 6 here, 0 here, 0 here, 10, and 6 here. So I don't have too much. And she will gain a lot of crit rate. Now, in terms of Goblet, as I said earlier, she doesn't deal damage with Anemo damage. She deals damage with the rest of the elements. But the problem is that there's multiple elements that you will deal damage with. There's going to be 3 different elements. And the best way to boost all these elements is going to be to have Attack Goblet on her rather than Anemo or any other like single element buff, element Goblet. So Attack Goblet is going to be the best option to deal as much damage as possible. And finally, if you get some elemental mastery substats, it is also pretty nice. I wouldn't go EM Sands, but elemental mastery substats are pretty good. For example, if you play with Bennett Farina, you will throw Hydro and Pyro bullets that can vape with each other. So if you get a vape, the EM is going to be very valuable. Same if you play with a Cryo character or something like that. So overall, EM is a pretty decent stats on her, but I wouldn't go EM Sands. Constellation, C1, C2, very, very good. C2 is really where you should aim for if you're really trying to get Constellations. I feel like stopping at C1 is not really that interesting. So I would go between C0 or C2, and then C6 is like just insane, but I wouldn't recommend C6 in general. But like, yeah, if you like C6 characters, C6 is broken. And the C4 gives a bit more energy back and a little bit more damage, so it's also pretty good. And in terms of talents, the attack talent is not worth leveling up. It doesn't boost anything other than her basically normal charge attack on normal stance and her normal attacks like that. So not worth leveling up this talent unless you really like her and you want to max out everything. And then skill and burst. Skill and burst priority. Skill real priority, but you should level up the burst at the same level basically. And that's pretty much it, because all her damage comes from the stance and skills with the skill level. All right. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I think I explained the whole kit right there. We went over the passives in like a short way to make it like a little bit clearer and not have to explain, like to read the whole kit. And yeah, I think that's basically it. Now, in terms of teams for Chasca, there's a lot of team options, which is what makes her pretty nice. Well, actually, let me go in the abyss so you can see the team directly. I will show some like damage showcase and team showcase afterwards that I took from the stream, but I wanted to redo the guide a little bit like that directly, so it was a little bit clearer. It was a little bit all over the place during the stream. In terms of teams, I think her best team at the moment is going to be Bennett Farina, unfortunately. Hopefully we get new options in the future, but Bennett Farina is just going to be like insane with her. She's going to deal insane amount of damage. And I think the last slot is either Oron or Shilonen. Oron or Shilonen that can hold the scroll of the Cinder City set that buffs a lot of damage. And also, so basically, Oron gives you the third element plus the Cinder City set, and also synergize very well with other Nadlan characters where he can give some energy back with his passive here. If you have some Constellation, is pretty good. If you have C6, he gives 30% attack damage, so very, very good option, honestly. And his damage is not negligible. Like it doesn't deal crazy damage, but he's easy to build. You can get some EM stats as well for Electrocharge. You can give him any attack weapon, but this weapon looks great on him, so I'm giving him this. Anything works really with him. What matters the most is just that he's here and that you unlock all his talents, and then he's pretty much just an artifact set bot and a little bit of extra damage. Shilonen, on the other hand, doesn't give the elemental buff from Chasca's passive. Like, you don't get another element from your bullets, but she can hold the Cinder City set as well, and she gives 36% red shred with her skill. Plus, if you have her weapon, she gives a lot of damage bonus that basically balance out the buff from Chasca's passive. Chasca's passive buff is around on the last stack. So if you only have 2 elements, you will only get 35%. If you have 3 elements, you will get 65%. So the difference is like 30%. Shilonen will give you 36% Resh Red plus 40% with the set. Plus, if you have a weapon, another 25%. So it depends. But Shilonen can be a good option other than like a third element. So yeah, Bennett, Farina, and then Shilonen or Oron, in my opinion, are the best options. After that, you can be very creative with your teams in general. You can use... I did a cool team with like Shenhe, Bennett, Farina as well. But since Chasca will deal cryo-infused damage, Shenhe's buff works, which is pretty nice. I know she hasn't been here for like 2 years, but if you have her, she can be a good option, and you can play her without a cryo DPS now, so it's pretty nice. Same thing goes for C6 Zara, because she will give your electro damage bonus, your electro damage bullet a lot more damage. Farzan, on the other hand, doesn't work too much because Chasca doesn't deal too much Anemo damage, as said earlier. And then after that, other than these teams, you can basically slot anything in the last one. You can put even Nahida for Burgeon can work, even though you won't get the full buff from the elements. It still works fine. You can do Rosaria, you can do Fischl, you can do Beto, you can do pretty much anything, honestly. Charlotte, Layla is also pretty nice for the shield, and if you have C4, she also gives some charge attack damage bonus, which is not negligible. So Layla is also a good option. And yeah, I would say the base of the team is Bennett, Farina for maximum damage. After that, you can slot anything for the last slot. If you don't want to play Bennett and Farina, you can use basically anything. I did some reverse meld with like Ganyu, Deya, and even without like a third element, you still deal pretty good damage. So I did like Ganyu, Deya, Layla, for example. That worked pretty good. You can do Taser, Chasca as well with Ororon, Farina, and then last slot can be either a Cryo or another Electro, like Fischl, or another Hydro if you want to, but you don't necessarily need 3 elements. 3 elements is really to maximize the buff, and that's where Bennett, Farina +1 comes in play. But you don't necessarily need 3 elements if you want to deal, if you don't have some good teams, I mean some cool teams, and deal decent damage. But it's the most optimal still. And then after that, what else did I do? I didn't try Aggravate, but could work, honestly, like with Fischl, Nahida, and I guess Aggravate is kind of weird because you only have 1 element then. So you could do Hyper Bloom or something like that, but it's not really the best option. Wait, you can slot in EIA, you can slot in Fischl, you can do Freeze with Rosaria, Farina, and then another Cryo. You can do Bennett Shangling, and then Oron. That worked pretty good as well. I tried earlier, and then yeah, she works pretty good. She's pretty flexible. Even if you don't maximize her passive, it's similar to Novi when you play Novi with Farina or something like that. You don't necessarily need to get the full buff. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, honestly. In this Spiral Abyss, he works great on the second half. A little bit difficult to play against the Topa sometimes, but you can take some distance if you don't play Bennett, and it makes it much easier. And also in this Abyss, she has the Blessing buff that gives basically 80% attack 80% attack bonus, so it's pretty insane. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I think I went over everything. In terms of like exploration, she's really cool. Like you can really fly for a very long time, which is pretty nice. I haven't explored the new area yet, but yeah, she's pretty nice. You can fly for a very long time, honestly. And if you have Oron on top of it, you can also look at my stamina. I'm gonna wait for the phlogiston to go down a little bit, and then Oron can bring you up a little bit. And then you fly, you glide, and then you wait for Chasca to come back, and then you'll get your phlogiston back. And then you can basically fly infinite. I wait for my stamina, and then boom. You can move up a little bit, and then boom, Oron again. Oron doesn't use Phlogiston after after he flies, so you can just climb up and then go back to Chasca, boom, and then use your skill again to get the stamina back, and then wait for Oron. I think it works. Yeah, it works. Boom, you wait the end almost, and then boom, Oron, and then it's perfect. You can basically fly infinite almost. Maybe not infinite, but basically infinite, huh? Basically infinite. Basically infinite. She still goes down a little bit. You can't go up without sprinting, but still works fine. Still works fine. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty nice exploration. And when you swap out between Shiloh, Mualani, Chasca, when you fully explore Nalan, when you just explore Nalan, it's really fun, honestly. It is really fun. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Chasca Guide. I didn't want to make it too complicated, like explaining in big details like every point of the kit. I think it's better to know like how it functions rather than all the details. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Join Discord if you need help with anything, and I'll see you on the next video. I will put some showcase after this, and yeah, I hope you have a good time. Bye. Okay, so what's the move here? We do that, do this. Okay, we're doing 35k. Not too bad. I don't have my... Oh, okay. Okay, not too bad. I need my energy back. Lightning burst. Okay, official Oz. I'm invincible here, right? I can just hug the boss. Maybe not. Maybe I spin 2 in. Okay. That was pretty good. And that was pretty fast. It's kind of hard to see like the damage properly with Chasca, but... Oh my god, I got bullied by the... Oh my god. Oh my god, I got bullied by the rocks. That was crazy. See? If we're doing 4 times 40... Okay. Now, we had some pretty decent pulls today overall, honestly. Are we melting? I really cannot tell, honestly. I think the pyro... Yeah, we did 60k melts. We did some melts. Just can't tell too much. Dude, it's so weird. It's really hard to see the numbers, honestly. It's really hard to see the numbers. Bennett. Oh, here we're gonna Giga Melt. 98! 90. Oh! Okay. 93. Okay. Okay, not bad, not bad. Kinda cooking. Wait, they have Pyro Res as well, right? I'm moving. Yeah, it's not too bad, honestly. Pretty good damage. That's pretty good damage. We're free. Wait, actually, not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. Wait for me to buff. Chat, I'm buffing. You ready? Okay, we're doing this. We're doing that. We're doing this. Steam. Ow. And then... Oh, 96k melt with cryo. Oh my god, it's 100k. Oh! Big. Oh my god, that's pretty big. Do you need EM on Chasca? No. I mean, it depends what team you play. If you play like a meld team or something, maybe EM can be decent, but I don't think it's that great still. I don't know. If you get some from substats, but you shouldn't go EM Sands or EM main stat anything. Compared to Nuvi and Aller, it's 0. Oh yeah, if you only have 2 different elements, you only get like... Okay, I'll see. Yes, I just tried her with Chasca Taco. Okay, burst. 83. 53. Hey, it's not too bad, honestly. Honestly, it's not too bad. Actually. 73. 80k. Oh my god, we're cooking. Oh my god, I'm kind of cooking. That's pretty good. Oh shit, I missed. Fine, that's not what I wanted to do, but sure. Wait, this is actually kind of crazy damage, no? 40k? I mean, even without like all the buffs, we're still doing pretty good damage. Shilona is unironically not bad with Chasca, honestly, because she can lower the damage of all the elements, like the rest of like different elements, so all the damage is improved. Okay, we do that. We got the cryo. Boom. We do this. We do that. I did not Shilo burst, but I don't see the number, but they're dead. Okay. I didn't see the number, but that was big. Boom, cryo, boom, beam. And then... boom, look at that. Oh, 74. 81. 89. Oh my god, that's pretty cool. Boom. Okay, I kind of wasted my Bennett burst a little bit, but... oh my god. The sound of her, like, going up and down from her... oh. From her bow, from her gun is, like, so funny. I only get 3 bullets here. My bad. Knock, knock, knock. Any knockers? Okay, Bennett. Chasca, Nahida, Bennett, Farina. Man, I hope Mavuika, chat, I don't care. Don't tell me about the leaks. I don't want to know, but like, I want... chat, Mavuika better be a Bennett replacement. I'm telling you. Oh my god. Oh my god. Don't say anything, okay? But I'm just saying this for me. What about Chasca, Anemo, hyper carry? Let him cook. Okay. Oh my god. 12k per bullet. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, this is bad.